Hey there, is eBay driving you crazy and you're wondering if you're the only one? Well, we have got a show for you. So I am Prof Sales.
And I guess I'm Just Ask Kaaren.
And this is the Prof Sales YouTube channel where we talk about being a reseller, being an entrepreneur, mindset, motivation, all kinds of things that have to do with basically being in business for yourself. And today we're going to talk about eBay and being driven crazy, which I think is a subject we can all identify with. So that being said, it's important to note that this is a live show. It is happening at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on a Monday. We are on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you'd like to join the live shows, you can, because we have a live chat going right now where you can jump in, leave a question, leave a comment if you want. We'll do our best to answer it. And if you're not able to catch the show right now, you can definitely catch it later after this video post, and you can leave a comment, question, thumbs up if you like it. Just let us know how we're doing on the channel, and we'd be really excited to hear from you. So this is going to be cool. So Kaaren, does eBay drive you crazy?
Well, if you mean sometimes do you drive me crazy as a result of eBay driving you crazy, then yes.
That's a fair point, and we're going to get into that. So
yes, we are.
I'd like to hear from the people in the chat, and we've already got almost 50 people watching. And I'd like to hear from the people in the chat is eBay, do you feel like sometimes it's just you wake up, you look at your sales, you look at your dashboard, whatever, or your seller hub, and you're like, oh man, I just don't even know if I can keep doing this. This is just nuts. And we'll talk about some of the issues here in a moment, but let us know, like in the chat, if you have specific instances of things that have just driven you nuts about eBay. Maybe they're continuing to drive you nuts. Maybe they have in the past. And we're going to talk about some of those. But this whole week is going to be focusing around sort of this overall topic.
Insanity?
Well, yes, because I mean, well, we'll get more into it, but I mean, there's a lot to your perception of how, this is how anything is happening, right?
Yes.
I mean, we talk about that a lot. Like how you perceive something has a lot to do with how you react to it.
Oh, sure.
It drives that. It's not the other way around. And some people in the chat are saying that they're already being driven crazy. They were already crazy to start with. That's a fair point. 0 sales yesterday. There's days when I sell a ton of stuff and then stretches with no sales. I don't know what's going on. I think something's wrong with the algorithm. Yes, but then I think about rush hour traffic and eBay doesn't bother me anymore. That's
see, perspective, right?
I'm with you, Blaze and Beats, because rush hour traffic takes me to a whole.
I think rush hour traffic is why we're self-employed now, wouldn't you say?
It doesn't hurt. Let's see. No sales is something. It seems to be a recurring theme here. Man, the chat is flying by. 1 sales one day, 11 sales the next. Unequal amounts of sales, non-paying bidders. Oh man, that's a classic. When someone buys your item and then doesn't pay for it. Oh. Let's see. 600 items listed and sales have never been so slow. I'm seeing a theme here about sales.
You think?
Well, just a few. Let's see what else we have here.
Broken links.
Low offers. Maggie Doodle says she's running a 50% off sale and people are sending low offers way lower than that, driving her crazy. Broken links, on and off sales. Something is definitely up lately, like the past 2 weeks. I love it. I mean, these are so common. Like, and I have 2,200 items and nothing selling. Oh, I mean, do you feel the pain in the room? I do.
Well,
and I empathize with it because I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I also feel, and we're going to talk about this, but I also feel the comfort in the room. Guess what? You're not the only ones that are going crazy.
I mean, this room right now already has 81 people in it, and it's just a small microcosm of the reselling community that's out there. And you can already see just comment after comment after comment after comment about things that drive them nuts on eBay. And we're going to talk about some of those today, because don't get me wrong, this is not a you know what moan show, all right? Although that may be what you end up doing, and if so, that's fine. But we're trying to help hopefully bring some perspective to this idea that, you know, eBay and how it's affecting you, or if it's affecting you, you're not alone. I mean, I think there's a lot of power in that, right? I mean,
Yes.
knowing that you're not the only person that's experiencing something that you don't like.
Right. And it's a rare opportunity, or a chance to have everybody sort of have some input in the moment here, because this is very scientific. No, not really, but we want to hear from everybody to see, you know, what's your crazy button, like what's doing it for you right now, what's just, you know, driving you mad.
Yeah, and that's absolutely part of the reason we want to do this show. I'd like to hear, and I think we already heard my first eBay driving you crazy potential point here, and people are already talking about it. Slow sales.
Yep.
I mean, how crazy does that drive you? Because I'm a math guy, as many of you know, and I like to think that when you have more items listed, you should sell more than when you have less listed. Although if you take any snapshot in time, that's not necessarily true. There's times when you can be like, I've got 100 items up and I sold this much, and then I have 200 items up and sold less. Speaking and logically speaking, that shouldn't happen, right? But slow sales, like, what's a good definition of slow sales, would you say?
I think it's going to be different for everybody.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's subjective, right? No sales could be slow sales for one person.
Right. I mean, no sales is obviously slow, right?
All
I think we can agree to that.
Professor Obvious here.
Captain Obvious.
Whatever. You're a prof, though. So anyway, everybody's with me on this one. So everybody agrees that 0 sales would be slow sales, right? But maybe for somebody with a smaller store, 1 a day, you know, 5 to 7 a week is a good thing. You know, for somebody with 2,200 items in their store, you know, maybe 1 a day, I'd say that's pretty slow. Yeah.
I mean, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat, and we have 115 people in the chat. So thank you guys for that. Really filling up. What to you, what's your definition of slow sales? I mean, because you kind of hit on it, Kaaren, because people, I mean, we're all going to have a different opinion of that. What is slow sales look like? Is it what you did versus yesterday? Is it what you did versus last year? Is it in comparison to the amount of listings you have up? Is it, someone said, less than your projections that you have? So, you know, I'd like to hear from people kind of when you say your sales are slow, or you hear that, what sort of goes through your head? Like, what makes something, a period of time, having slow sales? And saying less than 1% per day, which we've talked about. This whole, hey, I want to sell 1% of my items per day. So if you have 1,000 items, you want to sell 10 items. If you have 100 items, you want to sell at least 1. So maybe there's a percentage that you think is slow or fast or average or what have you. Let's see. Less than 2% for Janetta. Wow, that's strong, Janetta, if you're selling 2. That's awesome. Let's see, anything less than $100 a day. Okay, so JS Resellers has like a dollar amount on it, which that could be what how you view it. Under $2,500 a week, and I started to get nervous. So the Seam Store has a pretty big business going, but a big business has big expenses and big expectations, just like a small business does. So it's all relative to your size of your store here. I compare to last year. Kelly says, always want to beat last year's numbers. Okay, so that's sort of the comp sales, which a lot of retailers use that and businesses use that.
Well, and if Camilla's in the chat yet, we should figure out, she's probably gone over last year's numbers at this point. So I'll be curious for an update on that.
Well, that's a good point. I miss the days of being able to sell almost instantly. Don't we all, Aaron? I would agree with that. Slow sales is no sales. Yeah, I mean, I think, no sales is tough. I mean, because that's, you don't really, it's not even slow. There's just nothing to compare it to when you're 0 for a particular day or week or whatever the time frame is. Less than $100 a day. So everybody seems to have different opinions about slow sales in terms of what that means. Is it versus comp? Is it versus last week? Is it versus the amount of listings you have up? Is it versus a certain number in your mind? Like I want to be at $50, $100.
Do you know what I like with this live chat is that people have an idea. You know what I mean? Like obviously they're giving thought to what it looks like or what it's been, whether they're new or whether you guys have been at this for a while. It's really refreshing to see people that are thoughtful with their business. You know what I mean? Like when you ask a question like this, not everybody can give you an answer. Like, you know, it would be easy to say, well, slow sales would be nothing.
Right.
But it's interesting because the diversity of the answers shows me not only, you know, everybody's doing it differently, but everybody's giving it thought. And that looks like it's this quilt, right? It's this whole tapestry of different ideas. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are killing it in the chat feed. We're trying to shout those out for those of you who may be watching this video later. And we'd love to hear from you watching. If you are watching later, leave a comment about kind of what slow sales means to you, because we throw it around a lot in the reselling community, but it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody.
Well, and Aaron said slow, like no sales for 2 days. Like, to be honest, if we don't sell, like if we have like a blank day, it's not fun around here. Somebody gets a little grumpy. Like, oh, eBay must be broken. We didn't sell anything yesterday. Well, yeah, it's, you know, it's got to be eBay's fault.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. So, you know, slow sales, again, it's obviously up to you to determine what that means. But I think it's important to kind of talk about definitions. So, Krillin, thanks so much for the super chat. Krillin says, in my opinion, I think too many people are still focused on return on investment instead of high dollar sales. Also, people still sell the same items plus use the same sourcing method, which are great points, Krillin. So Krillin's a great friend of the channel. Check out his channel too, guys, for all kinds of cool info about, he does a lot of, I think, haul videos and so on his channel, which is awesome to learn some things.
Rob makes a good point. I mean, you have to evolve. You know, we say like a broken record, if you're doing the same thing the same way all the time, you're going to get the same results.
Right.
And it seems a common thread in the evolution of resellers is that we start out in one space and then we move on and upward to somewhere else. And Rob's got a great point that, you know, your return on investment on something you paid $1 for, you know, you double your money, right? That gives you $2. That's awesome. But you get an item where you bought it for 50 and you double your money, you've just made 50. So you've made $49 more dollars. So
because there's a value on your time and energy.
Exactly. So
absolutely
great point.
Yeah, guys, I mean, we could probably talk about slow sales and sales in general till the end of time. But I do think there's some other ways that eBay might be driving you crazy you need to identify. And one of those is scammer alert, scammer alert. I don't know why I like doing that.
Let's just get it out of the way. We don't always give a lot of credence or lip service, time, talk, or otherwise to the scam conspiracy theory. However,
Kaaren, do you think there are scammers on eBay?
I think that there are scammers in life, man. It's human nature.
How many out there in the chat have had a recent or not so recent encounter with a scammer?
Wait, I'll do it. Do it again. Ready? Go.
Scammer. Yeah, we got to put the quotes over there.
Scammer.
And you know, this is a tough one for me, guys, because I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and give people and treat them with some grace, because I know everybody has bad days, bad weeks. Heck, they have bad decades in some cases. And there are sometimes legitimate reasons why somebody wants to do something that can seem on the surface to be dishonest, scammy, so to speak. But there are people genuinely out there on eBay who are trying to pull one over on you. There is no doubt they are out there. I don't feel like it's a big percentage.
No.
Do you?
Nope.
I feel like scammers are a small percentage of the eBay buying universe. Now, that being said, how much time do we devote to talking about them? and
Yeah.
focusing on them.
That's the thing. We do see probably a lot of unnecessary words and minutes wasted on, you know, this guy tried to pull one over on me. And really, in the amount of time that you just got on your soapbox to make that dissertation, you probably could have listed 10 other things.
Right. You could have done something.
Done all kind of things. Blocked the guy, resolved the issue, whatever, moved on.
Yeah. I mean, guys, you're going to have scammers, no doubt. No doubt. And sometimes you'll be right about whether they're scammers, sometimes you won't. So it just comes down to how much time and energy you're going to give them. And I just don't think that you can give them too much time and energy because, you know, they're such a small part of the big eBay pie, I guess. And it's really frustrating. It's like we've had 2 recently that I don't know that were scammers. I don't know if you would consider it a scam when somebody just doesn't want to pay return shipping. Is that a scam when they try to say it's item not as described because they don't want to pay return shipping?
Or they can't see the size on the tag when it's on the tag.
Yeah, I showed that one. And
I remember.
And eBay actually took my side on both, and I was able to get refunded for both those items and reimbursed. And I'll get the items back, which is great. So I can sell them again. So I'm not really going to be out the money.
But as you guys put some ideas in the live chat here, I'd like to challenge you. It's something that we've started doing, and it's made all the difference in the world. Because remember, when we were talking about the show, we talked about how often have we let, you know, a snippety comment change the way we feel about our day, right? You've let some buyer come in and say something or do something, and now all of a sudden your feathers are ruffled. Try this. Take every situation with it's coming from positive intent.
Yep.
Yeah. Like initially, don't immediately go to this conspiracy theory that someone's out to get you. And just what if, and I know it's kind of, you know, rainbows and unicorns for some of you, but just try it. Approach it that way.
Right.
And one of the unforeseen benefits to that kind of attitude is it's going to bubble over into, if you do have to call eBay, for example, it puts you in a better position, I think. Because you're calling them saying just the facts. You know, you don't have to bring in all this supposition that, well, I think they're this or I think they're that.
You don't know.
Because you don't know. So there's a lot of good, positive outcomes if you just sort of go into this like, you know, it is what it is, just the facts, and people aren't innately out to get you.
Right. They're not. And I just think it's one of those things where we give it an awful lot of attention, but you just really need to think about, is this really a wise investment of my time and energy? And usually the answer is no. So the next topic I think that might be driving you crazy are the fees on eBay. You know, how many out there think the fees on eBay are excessive? There's too many of them. They're too complicated, too hard to figure out. You know, I have mixed emotions on this one.
Do you now?
Well, I do. And here's my reasoning. If I was running a big e-commerce platform like eBay, you can darn well bet I'm going to make sure that I am somehow compensated on the back end for the cost of running that, because the cost of running that is not cheap. It is not cheap. So I just think that in a lot of cases, you have to decide if you're going to play in eBay's sandbox, you have to play by their rules. And I know people get upset about the fees, but I think some people get upset, and maybe some of you might even be in this category. If you are, I apologize. I'm not trying to offend you, but I think some people are upset that there are fees, period. They think that they should just be able to go on to eBay, list what they want, sell what they want, deal with eBay customer service, use their servers, use their software, use their listing applications. I think there are people out there, and if you're one of those people, you're wrong. I'm just going to say it like that. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you might think eBay is being overcompensated for their fees. That's a different argument, but honestly, guys, aren't they entitled to make a profit? I mean, most of us are in this to make a profit. And people complain about us sometimes saying, well, you shouldn't make that much on that shirt or those pair of jeans or that pair of shoes or that whatever you're selling. I I don't know. The fee thing kind of, I don't get completely.
Well, if people want to sell their stuff, have a yard sale. There's no fees in a yard sale.
Yeah. I mean,
I joke.
I mean, can you really argue? And somebody was saying this in here too, and I probably just missed it. Can you really truly argue that eBay, I mean, could you go out and market your products to millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of customers for the same price you can do it on eBay? Because you're getting an economy of scale there. Your individual cost is not very much. But if I said to you, take your 500 items and list them in a way that millions, tens of millions of people are going to see them every day and every week and every month, how would you do that in a cheap fashion? Like any profit you're going to make on those items would gone. Like it's a huge investment to do that, to sort of put yourself out there. Just like if I wanted to start a video service channel where I upload my videos to compete with YouTube, I could do it, but man, how could I get any kind of reach on it easily? I mean, YouTube's already done all that for me. They've created all that. They've got experience at it. They've made a lot of the mistakes that I would make if I were doing that, and they've invested the money. So I just think you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. I mean, fees are a part of eBay life. They're a part of Amazon, Poshmark, anywhere you sell, you know, there's some kind of fee somehow being subsidized by someone.
And you know what's going to be interesting, and there's the lag, so we're just now getting the comments from the start of this.
Skip's comments funny.
Well, what did he say?
Cassini doesn't show your items to millions every day. I see what you did there, Skip. That's good.
So what's interesting to me is I think that we are on the cusp of some major changes. I mean, we're already seeing it with our local cable companies and how the TV that we knew when we were kids, you know, ad revenues, commercials, all of that, billboards, even print ads, everything is it's having to evolve to something digital.
Right, right.
And so the same thing for the internet. And don't think for a second that whatever this evolution looks like for us to continue to sell or resell online, it's going to be free, because it can't be.
No.
So we either adapt or we don't. We either adapt or we die in this resale world, right? So fees, arguably, I say they're just a necessary evil.
Yeah, they are.
You gotta pay to play. I'm full of them today.
You know, and you really should figure out ways to integrate the fees into your selling price, your ask. I mean, that's just smart pricing, because honestly, you know, where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from you when you sell the item, or even when you list the item, if it's an insertion fee. So you got to figure that into your model and make sure that, you know, you're pricing high enough to account for that. I just think that's important. How about losing items? How many out there have ever lost an item? Okay, should we tell the story about today?
We're going to have different versions of that story. But
there's not different versions. There's just one version.
What you're going to do to make things right in this house, I'm curious about. But please tell your story to the masses.
It's to that level. All right, so a few weeks ago, you guys know we finished up our inventory. And because of that, I gave a pair of jeans to Ben, Karen's son, that he wanted, a pair of jeans. Well, I took those jeans out of the spreadsheet, but for some reason, I apparently did not take them off of eBay. Guess what happened today?
Let me tell him without you answering. So this is what happened. I'll give you a big fat hint. I had to go into my messy teenage son's room and find said pair of Lucky 363 jeans and wash them so that somebody could pack them up and ship them.
They sold. It is what it is. And we sold them. And I told her, I'm like, well, we're going to have to get those and sell them. I mean, I wasn't going to tell the buyer, you know, that, you know, you're not going to, you know, get this item because I gave it to Ben. But so we, you know, and was it a lost item? At first it was, because I was like, where did this go? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why I deleted this entry. Like, the number was still there, but there was nothing in it. I'm like, this looks like I took the listing down. And I looked in a couple other places, and then I realized, I was like, that's one of the ones I gave to him. So because we'd had it when we did the inventory. That's the funny thing. My inventory showed we had it. It was here, and it hadn't sold since then. So packed it up, washed it, dried it, packed it up, shipped it. It's good. The buyer will be happy. Ben, I'll have to explain it to. But how many of you guys have lost things? And what's been your reaction to it?
Yep. And that wasn't a really good example of losing something because that was just operator belt malfunction, right? You took it off one place, didn't on the other.
Right. But if I wouldn't have found it, I wouldn't have remembered that.
Right.
I would have had to cancel the sale, which would affect my seller rating.
Right. So those of you that have lost something, how did you handle it? Did you beg forgiveness and ask the buyer to cancel? We've had an instance long ago, remember?
Yeah.
Where you actually went and rebought a video game. Do you remember that?
I did, because I sold it, and for whatever reason, I don't remember what the exact reason was. I did not have it any longer. So I bought it off of Amazon and had them ship it to the customer. It wasn't even a big game. Like it wasn't a lot of money. It was like $7 or $8.
But you were trying to make it right. Like this was back in the beginning, and it was like, oh my gosh, I lost something. What am I going to do? And so and I think that was the big thing to do. That was the right thing to do.
Joseph says, no, you should have canceled the order. Sometimes better keep peace in the house to make a sale.
Oh, you know me well.
Well, in my defense, he did get the pair of jeans for free. He did not pay for them. So there's not any money that transacted.
Don't think for a second that it was not exchanged for blood, sweat, and tears on the part of his mother. I'm just saying.
Blood, sweat, and tears doesn't pay the power bill. So
there's
no financial record
How much
of that.
do you pay me? I'm just tell
That's not true. That is not true. No. So we're not going to go into that, but that is not true. She does get paid. So I have records, but in any case, you've got to make the buyer happy if you can, guys. So if you lose an item, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go crazy? But I mean, a lot of times I have asked the buyer to cancel the sale because I didn't have the item, and they've been okay with that. I mean, they're not super happy, obviously, have it. And this one was on me. It wasn't eBay's fault. This was an item that I lost, quote unquote, or gave away. It's a good thing that we didn't donate it, because then we couldn't have got it back and would have had to have canceled the sale. And I didn't have any other ones like it either. Well,
and what's funny is Ben wears a funny size. It was the only 3230s. It's a very common size, but it's the only pair of 3230s we had in our inventory. Like that, and it just happens to be the pair of Luckies we talked about several shows back that we sold, and they came back because they had some factory distressing, not wear distressing, but factory, and we whatever it is. We
had sold these and they came back. That's right. I forgot that. You're right.
I have a really good memory.
These have a history. I hope they stick this time, and I never see them again.
And I can remember like those really flashy Coogis or whatever, but this particular pair was just fresh. Like we knew this one was already on the radar. So
yeah, funny story. Kind of the last point I wanted to talk about here, that revolves around the subject of, is eBay driving you crazy? So let's talk glitches. And I almost called this video eBay glitches, because when those jeans were not here this morning, before I realized that, I'd given them to Ben, I was like, this is a glitch. This is a stupid eBay glitch where something gets relisted or doesn't get relisted, and I was like, I was ready to just go. I was ready to call eBay customer service and just go off. Like, this is so dumb. This has happened so many times. Well, it turns out it's my fault, but there have been real eBay glitches. And I'm curious what you guys have seen in the live chat. And then if you're watching this later, what's been your experience in terms of what kind of glitches you've experienced? Just ask Kaaren. Kaaren, how did that get changed? You're just not right.
So I didn't do it. You did it. It's just ask Jason. Is that what you're gonna put there?
No.
So if you guys look really quick, the message thingy on the bottom that says who we are, it's Kaaren and Kaaren today.
I might as well leave it at this point.
Oh no, change it.
And Prof, yeah. How about that? How about that?
Always an adventure here.
I know,
on the
that was
Prof
funny.
Sales channel.
We just now realized that we're both really super observant. But what glitches have you guys run into over the years. And some people are chiming in the chat. Let's see here.
What Skip say?
Easy to avoid. Illinois Picker says they're easy to avoid. Don't let them have multiple numbers automatically relist for you. I got burned on this for defect rate. Yeah, and that's the thing, Illinois Picker. If you have to cancel orders, it does affect your defect rate, which can affect your selling status, which is no bueno. So that's a big deal. I've had all my pictures replaced with pictures from a different listing months after first listed. Skip says that Zerkburn. Same here. I have had that happen on more than one occasion. It is really super annoying because you don't know that it happens until you go to relist it or sell it or something. Like you go into that listing, you don't even realize it. Had a few lost double sold items. A seam store typically will offer buyer another item of their choice with substantial discount, so don't have to cancel. Be sure to end and delete the replacement item listing. Man, that's a great tip, seam store, for how to handle that double listing, because I have had a listing sell and then it sell again. And I don't really see how that could even happen, because once it sells, it's ended. And I don't go into sold listings and relist
them. Sure, why not?
I've never done that. I don't even go to that screen. Mark says, glitch yesterday, number of views showed 0 across all my listings for 2 accounts. Now that is interesting, Mark, because you would think your listings probably are getting views, but you don't know unless you ask eBay that for sure. And that would be very concerning, that maybe your listings are not being seen for some reason, which is, it could just be that their reporting is bad, but it could also be that for some reason your listings are not live, which is obviously maybe the worst case scenario in terms of a glitch. Missing listings, Eric O says.
And Lizzie said the same thing. Solds just magically reappear.
It is so frustrating when that happens. Don't have, Debbie says, make sure you don't have multiple email addresses in your store. That's a good point. That I'm not sure what that causes, but I'd be interested to hear what your experience has been with that, Debbie. CG Barnes says, I've had them relist one of mine that I ended, had to take a hit on it. I have had that same glitch, CG, and I don't know how to fix that one, because you end it, it's done. You think you're done with it. Sold items reappearing in active listings. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, Teresa, we've heard from a lot of people that the views have either skyrocketed and then gone to 0. Like that's been a thing the last couple of weeks, right? With views. Yeah.
Does anybody know if that glitch has been because it's actually not getting seen, or it's just that the reporting is not working correctly? I'd be curious to know. Let's see. I've had double listing. Double listings have had timestamps 4 to 5 minutes apart. My views were all 0 yesterday. A lot with the views. I don't think we've had that issue, but I probably need to check a little closer.
We don't really ever look at views, but on certain things, right?
I mean, I do, but I don't like delve into them, but maybe I need to.
Well, you know what? It's interesting to me. I haven't seen the multi-quantity thingy come up. So is that not a thing anymore? Like for those of you that are listing and relisting items with multi-quantity, have they fixed it? Because we don't think they have. Like when we just redid those thingies that we have multiples of, didn't we have to go back and fix it?
And they were wrong. Yeah, the idea being if you list an item with more a quantity of more than one, that when you relist that item, sometimes it relists to the original quantity, which obviously is wrong, and you don't know it until unless you go in and actually check, which is kind of, some of their back end stuff is kind of not super user friendly for figuring out the status of your listings and things like that. eBay could definitely use some work there, but it's a work in progress. I understand.
Oh, hey, Drummer. Yep. Everybody seems to be saying that as well, that Drummer says that promoted spiked and now it's flat.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that it's due to the promoted listings are causing this issue. That is an interesting question. And I am still on the fence about promoted listings, whether they really make a lot of impact or not. Hard to say there, but I don't really have a lot of data one way or the other, but the jury so far seems to be swaying towards people who haven't been a huge fan.
Yeah,
that it's not really making a big difference in their sales, which is what you want. I mean, you'd want to see a sales increase or to advertise it across the platform when it does sell. But maybe eBay is still tweaking it as well. So we probably have to give a little more time on that one before we can really figure out.
And once again, Skip, great suggestion. I don't know why we don't do it. Maybe Jason could explain.
Good till cancel.
Good till canceled on multiples. Why don't we do that? Why do we relist them? Because you think they'll go down to the bottom of the list and nobody will ever see it.
I thought I did have that one set up that way, but I'll need to check.
Maybe the last time we renewed it, Skip, maybe we did put it at that. So we'll look and see. Maybe.
Yeah. So guys, all these ways that we've talked about in this video about eBay drives us crazy are valid. I'm not going to sit here and argue that your perception of it or someone's perception of it is, well, that's not a valid viewpoint. Well, it is a valid viewpoint, but what we want to focus on, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this on Wednesday and on Friday, is kind of like the why some of these things drive us crazy, and then maybe some strategies to deal with it as well. So that's kind of what we had planned for this week. We will do that.
Crazy us. We wanted to start Motivational Monday off with this vent session, right? Like, get it out of your system. What's driving you crazy?
You're not alone. I mean,
yeah, look.
This chat with up, 190 people in it, as well as how many people watch this video afterwards, you are not alone in feeling like, it's driving you nuts sometimes, because there are things that happen that affect you. I mean, we're not robots to where we can just turn off our emotions and all these things. But at the same time, we've got to soldier on and figure out ways to kind of get through it as well, because, otherwise it becomes a whole sort of descending spiral into, I don't know, what's the word? Can't think of the word.
Darkness and despair.
Darkness. But so I want to tell you guys about that for the next couple days. We'll definitely be talking about some more about this subject in general, not this exact subject, but sort of this idea about what eBay does to you, mentally. And full disclosure, you guys have listed all these things that you said drive you crazy. I have had plenty of times they've driven me nuts as well. I am not exempt from that. I'm not putting myself above anybody and saying she would back that up and saying, oh, I never get upset about anything that happens on it. That's not true. Of course I do. And so, but I also realize you have to figure out ways to deal with it. So hopefully we're going to do some of that this week. But I thought it'd be cool in the time we have left to answer any questions you have. So if you guys have questions in the chat, leave them in the chat. We will, put the question, question marks in front of it, or the word question, just so we know it is a question. And I'm going to answer some viewer questions as well. We're going to do some screen shots.
I love this part. Wait, I gotta go. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but
I can't say it. I'll get a copyright infringement.
Yeah, so we're going to look at a couple questions that have come up and comments.
Oh, that's a big, long one. Holy moly.
All right, we'll see if Kaaren can read this out. So this first question or comment comes on our slow eBay sales video.
From Dame Garbo, not sure. I've had steady sales when I haven't been listing. I've had slow sales often, even when listing more. At times, I am of the opinion maybe none of it really matters, and it is truly random. Listing often, I am convinced more than anything, buys you more time for your older inventory to be viewed, and then make a sale with the chance that your newly listed items might also be seen sooner. Also, I wonder what percentage of eBayers are sellers versus buyers. Seems like everyone is selling these days, and maybe the market is so darn oversaturated. I try not to stress about furiously listing death piles. I try slow and steady and look at my unlisted inventory as money in the bank that I make withdrawals upon. I understand there is undue pressure on those depending on reselling to support themselves completely compared to those using it as a supplemental income. Your channel's very informative, and I appreciate all the schools of thought presented. Smiley.
Sorry. So thank you for your comment. I mean, that was really well said. I love what you said about unlisted items being money in the bank that you take withdrawals on. That is true. Like, if you're viewing that way, as long as you are going to the bank and taking those withdrawals on a regular basis, that keeps you from having the dreaded death pile, right? So that there's a lot of perception in that comment, which I love. And I think that as long as you kind of keep that mindset that what I buy is an investment in my business, not an investment like a stock investment, but an investment that it's going to pay a return down the road. That's great. Like, I think that's an amazing way to look at that. So thank you for your comment. This next one is from, let's see here.
Oh, are you going to be this one?
I can do this one if you want.
Use your best radio voice.
This one is from Brenda Rubio Visoto on our 11 Best Jeans Brands video. What do you pay when you offer free shipping? Is it padded flat rate? I'd appreciate your help. Fan of you, Kaaren.
This isn't even the Kaaren channel. Love it. Thanks. Mwah.
Well, you're going to answer it?
Oh, so what do we pay? $6.30. Is that what the question? Is that what she means?
When we do free shipping, and what do we use?
Yeah. Yes, we use PFREs, padded flat rate envelopes that you can get by ordering them from online USPS. Right? Yes,
absolutely.
And typically, we'll do free shipping if something will go first class too, right?
Right. I mean, if you can simplify your shipping down to one or two things you need to know, and types of shipping supplies and how much it'll cost you, what a huge load off of your brain, because now you don't have to sit there and reinvent the wheel every time you get an item. I'm going to know that 99.9% of the jeans I buy fit in a padded flat rate. I'm going to know that most of the clothing items I get are going to be first class or less, so I can figure out the shipping costs. But if you can't figure that out, you're always going to be thinking about shipping. And it's just one more thing you can take off your plate if you can make it happen. So it doesn't have to be padded flat rate. It could be whatever it is, but just if you can simplify shipping down to that, it will make your life so much easier. So just, take that for what it's worth. But thank you for your comment. The next, is this one too long?
You're killing me, Smalls. No, I got this.
You can actually just read even the bottom one if you want. She's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, no. If you put it up there, I'm going to read it.
All right, do it. Next comment.
From Gus Tamer. I had a shocking August. I was almost tearing my hair out as to why it's happening. So I did everything I could. Ran sales, ran promotions, listed like a demon, got better items. I basically dedicated the entire month to getting my store back on track, and it worked. Now I don't have any sales running or promotions, and my store is humming along beautifully. Oh, way to go, Gus. It doesn't say that, but there you go. I actually realized my problem was that my inventory wasn't good enough. I was left with all the crap which didn't sell. Truth, brother. I realized that most of my store was junk compared to my competitors. And since then, I've been getting much better items and being pickier with them. My store has really improved. I've had the best week ever, and it's because the ROI on all the sales are so high and selling much faster because they're more sought after items. Prof, maybe try being pickier with the jeans. I don't know if you can get much pickier. You might be getting too comfortable with the mid-level brands that take longer to sell with lower ROIs. I love it.
That was great.
Gus, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, lots of great nuggets of wisdom there, but basically the idea that Gus kept going until he found something that worked, and then it worked. And that was that. He also made a great point about having older items that didn't sell and taking some decisions to make his inventory better. And man, what a great, that's a great mindset to have. I mean, guys, gone are the days, if they ever really existed, but gone are the days when you can just throw anything up for sale on eBay or Amazon or anywhere and it'll just sell. That's just, it might sell, but it's not going to sell for a lot. Buyers are smart. They're savvy. They have access to lots of resources. They can look up something on their phone in a couple seconds, which they couldn't do in the past very easily. And they're not going to just buy things just because you think they're awesome. We've talked about that before, like how eBay hurt a lot of antique stores because people realized items weren't as rare as they thought. And so it killed prices. So antique stores all of a sudden had been based at this profit margin. Now we're seeing the profit margin go down here, and it became very difficult to survive.
Because guess what? That black glass, cigar picker-upper thingy, Bobby, isn't as rare as you thought it was.
No, it's not. So you've got to you've got to be looking out for your buyer. And as far as the jean brands, it's a great point. We have tried to buy brands of late, or the last few months, that we will sell for a higher price than the ones we had before. Not always possible. And it's hard to turn down a good profit when it's sitting right there in front of you, even if it's not quite the profit you wanted, because you're there. There's an opportunity cost in leaving it and not getting it at that moment. But for the most part, we have gotten a little bit pickier with our brand. So that was a great comment. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Rob was talking about earlier. And there've been some more comments about. Oh, is there another question?
Yeah, there's 2 more questions.
Okay, go do it.
All right. So is this one me or you?
I think it'll be me.
Okay.
I'm just having way too much
Next
fun
question.
Luisa Linos. What do you think of putting those brands you name and starting them at 99 cents and seeing what they go up for? Or do you just put them up on Buy It Now after searching them for what they sell for? Great question, Luisa. So here's the problem. I can even start to answer this one. Here's the problem with offering something for 99 cents. You better be prepared to sell it for 99 cents. So we don't like to, and it does a lot. You know, there's who knows why, but if it gets down to the 99 cents and nobody's bid on it, that if somebody's going to swoop in and get it, and boon for them and not so much for you. Yeah. So yeah, we don't, if we do auctions, and I actually have a couple of things that I'm putting up for the fall that I'm going to maybe auction or Buy It Now. I haven't decided yet. But I'm going to start at something pretty reasonable that I wouldn't take any less for. Like the 99 cents thing just scares me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And somebody had a question in the chat too. I might have missed some other questions. If we did, I'm sorry. Alexis said, good way to organize items with SKU, trying to create a system, but not happy with it. Started sourcing, selling 1 month ago. I have approximately 400 items in inventory and only about 20 listed, very unorganized.
Okay. First things first, Alexis, don't buy another thing.
You have a death pile by our Prof sales definition.
and you know, just, I mean that in the most supportive way. Like, you're in the beginning, it's all roses and chocolates, right? But you have to have discipline. If you don't get a handle on it now, you're going to end up like a friend of ours who has a room full of stuff and nothing listed. Okay. Right. So, all right, you've crossed that threshold. It's the honeymoon has begun. It's almost over. Now you have to put your nose to the grindstone and just do it. You need to list.
And as far as you say with SKUs and so on, start with just sequential numbers. Yeah. I mean, it's as easy as anything. Try not to reuse them. I think that's that can really be a mistake if you're not super, super organized and have a really great back-end system. And even then it's kind of iffy. It's not really a great inventory practice. And there are people who make it work. Don't get me wrong. But I think the practice itself is really tricky to get right.
I wonder where she could watch a video on that. No,
we have a few.
Like, all joking aside, like if you look later in Jason's channel, he's got some other videos about inventory systems and how to do it and do it well. And it's not very complicated. And
you can adjust it to whatever makes sense for you and your space and so on.
Oh, in fact, go to my Reselling 101 series. Yeah, one of them is on inventory, and I try to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah. So, hey, Mamika, how are you? Mamika is.
Oh, hi, Mamika.
Good to see you. We have one more question, so we are going to answer that.
I'm ready.
I think this is from somebody that you interact with.
Did I? Oh, I'm gonna cry. So, this is my buddy Sarah. She's another gypsy friend of mine, and she might even be in the chat. So, hi, Sarah. You guys always speak to me as if you are literally on the other end of the phone talking to me. It's a hard truth with a tad of wit. I seriously appreciate you guys in so many ways. Heart. Aw, you put that in there on purpose.
So that was just a nice comment, but thank you for the comment, Sarah.
So yeah, we're psychic, and we know exactly what all of you are thinking and the trials and tribulations that you're going through, and it's our job to make it better. No. So we're all in this boat together, or we're in similar boats, or, you know, I think what we want you to get out of today is this sense of me too, that you're not the only one that maybe sales are slow for, or you're not the only one that had a glitch. You're not the only one that, you know, had an INAD. You're not the only one that, I mean, whatever it is. And something that we haven't said in a while, in order to succeed, if you see where you want to be, and I want you to think about it, I want you to envision it. If you see where you want yourself to be a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, the challenge is to surround yourself with like-minded people. Because here's the thing, you're not going to get there if you're only listening to the naysayers or the drama queens and kings or the, just negative Nancys or whatever. Put yourself in the most positive light and learn, suck it in.
That's good.
Suck it up, buttercup, too. But you know what I mean? Like you'll I'm just going to go on and on, but just, just that's part of it too. You have to, it's mindset. A big part of this is mindset. And we kind of talked earlier about if you got a scammer or a negative Nancy that said something, not nice, how you react to that comment or that interaction is going to have an effect on your day, whether you choose to let it bring you down or whether you choose to let it elevate you or not affect you at all. But whatever it is, learn from it and move on.
Right. No, that is so true. And we are going to, like this week, guys, the next two shows are 2 days from now and then 2 days from that, we're going to talk more about what to do and kind of identifying where some of this is coming from, because we've really been thinking about it a lot lately. And, what starts up here is what will happen here with your hands. I mean, it doesn't go the other way around. And what happens out there only matters in how you process it in here. And it's cliche, and it's it sounds so easy in concept to think, oh, I'll just change my thinking about things, and it'll be different. And that's not easy to do, but there is a lot of truth to it. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday and Friday. So I think it's great, guys, to your point, just to remember, you are not alone. You're not the only person feeling this way. You're not the only person who's had eBay driving them crazy. You won't, and this won't be the last time you'll feel it either. You're going to feel it again and again and again and again. And that's just the way it works. So
the next time we get together, I'm going to give you guys a heads up. It might be a little challenging for you because you have
challenge.
Well, the story that you told earlier this morning, you haven't been able to get to today. So
right.
Jason's going to kind of tell you like it is, and you may or may not, I'm
trying to remember the story, but you can tell me off air.
Off air, you can tell me. It's business. It's not personal.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to gather our tools, put them in our toolbox, and be productive and go out, go forth and stuff. But Wednesday's going to be an interesting show. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys. So that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much to everybody who came in and joined. Oh my gosh, huge show today. Tons of people here. We really do appreciate it. And check out the links down below. I'm sorry I didn't put there's a description down there. We'll have all kinds of cool stuff and goodies you can learn from. And check out Kaaren's channel. Just ask Kaaren. She's just getting started out and just starting this YouTube voyage. So it's going to be interesting to see where you land and you end up. Oh, thanks. All right, but that's going to do it for today, guys. So thanks again for stopping by. We will see you in a couple days from now with a lot more on this subject. So we hope that you have a great rest of your day. And as always, this is Just Ask Kaaren. And Kaaren, no, who are you? This is Prof Sales. Saying good sales to you.